Come, step into my world of twisted illusion.
What's up guys, Lifting here. I may have been gone for a while, but not even the coronavirus is going to prevent me from presenting to you my traditional League Starter build video. Path of Exile's 3.10 Delirium League is just around the corner and has brought with it tons of changes to the skill tree, skill balance, new unique items and so forth. This video will present 5 builds for you to get inspired by and try out in the league. They're all picked with the criteria of being good league starters, meaning they progress nicely through the levels, they don't have a high budget requirement, and they are all true and tried setups, so you don't get anything experimental that isn't going to work anyway. Before we begin, I have a short message from Chris Wilson he wants you to hear.
Hi, this is Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. I really like Lifting Nerd Bro. He may look handsome and tough and muscular, but he has always been very gentle to me.
Please guys.
Let's help LNB. Click the subscribe button. It would make me very happy.
I am Chris
Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Subscribe now. Thanks.
Thanks Chris, I appreciate the support, and I of course do very much appreciate the insane reception my previous video received, and thanks to you guys, I am now eagerly awaiting my silver plug or plate from YouTube. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Let's get into it. Path of Exile 3.10 Delirium League Starter build number 1 on today's list is a Cyclone Duelist by Dex2644. There's no such skill as Cyclone that gets the boys wild and the women wet. Cyclone is a channeling movement based attack skill that grows in power the longer you hold it. Dex's build is designed around the Impale mechanic, which in basic terms allows you to stack damage on the enemy for each hit you deliver, and it is one of the most efficient ways of reaching very solid physical DPS numbers in the current state of the game, when the build is properly optimized for it. The build is played as the Duelist, speccing into the Slayer Ascendancy. Through this you will be able to drastically increase your damage against bosses, including the ability to be able to cull and thus instantly kill them as soon as they reach 20% health. It will also provide you with a greatly increased area of effect to your Cyclone and add a flat 7.5 base crit chance to help you achieve reliable crits with a powerful bonus to your crit multiplier. Dex's build does not require any specific items to work, but does of course offer suggestions as to what gear you should invest into as you progress your character. It's a solid League Starter build that can pretty much do any content the game has to offer. If you like the Cyclone playstyle, check it out. And while we are on the subject of Cyclone, I also want to bring attention to a build made by a friend of mine. He is the Red Strawberry of Sweden and goes by the alias of Burger Brush. And yes, I know what you're all thinking, but let's not be mean guys. It's not his fault that he's Swedish. Build number 2. Now, there are lots of differences between the two builds, but the ones that stand out the most is that while Dex's build dual wields foils, Burgers instead use claws. Both options are equally great depending on the goal of the build, but one of the very useful aspects of using claws is that you in return receive a major defensive perk of being able to gain a ton of life on hit, which can make some encounters significantly easier. Another major difference between the two builds is that Burger's Cyclone build is played as the Champion Ascendancy. This obviously means he is sacrificing the benefits from the Slayer that Dex's use, but instead is able to make use of the Taunt mechanic, which by itself also works as a powerful direct damage multiplier unique to the Champion. He also doesn't have to worry about accuracy, as this Ascendancy receives 100% hit chance against any enemy taunted. This will make gearing easier and allow you to focus on getting more damage or defense, whatever you prefer. Finally, the Champion's Master of the Metal Keystone provides a huge bonus to the Impale mechanic, both in terms of defense and DPS. Both builds are excellent choices, and I had a hard time figuring out which one to pick, so I simply decided on just featuring both. The third build on our list is a Bane Witch by Theon. Now, if you are regulars on my channel, you will recognize the name Theon, as I have featured many of his builds in the past, and for good reason. They simply work, and people always shares great feedback on his guides. This build used the relatively new skill Bane, which works by applying a chaos damage debuff to enemies in an area. The more area of effect your build has, the larger area you'll be able to cover. The Chaos Damage debuff deals more damage and lasts longer for each curse applied, and for this reason, Bane builds are often accompanied by one or more linked curses to scale the damage via this mechanic, making it a somewhat unique skill that offers a slightly different way to build around. Theon's build is designed around the Occultist Ascendancy, and through this greatly benefits from the powerful Profane Bloom keystone, granting a 25% chance for enemies to explode, dealing chaos damage to enemies around them, which, in case you weren't aware, are the purple explosions you see from the gameplay here. That said, the more important aspect of Profane Bloom for this type of build is the fact that it makes even curse-immune enemies able to become cursed, and this obviously is a huge deal for a skill that is designed to be scaled around the idea of being able to curse the enemy for it to optimally deliver its damage. Besides that, the Occultist Keystones are excellent choices for anyone wanting to scale chaos damage over time skills. That being said, with a few changes, the build can also be played as the Trickster or Ascendant if that is what you prefer. You should have an easy time leveling and progressing this build if you follow Theon's instructions, and since it's a League starter, it doesn't come with a list of expensive gear requirements, but don't worry, you of course will have some interesting items to farm for, and Theon has provided suggestions as to what to aim for in his guide once you start to accumulate some wealth. Now, I won't go into detail about this, but in case you really like the idea of chaos dot builds but aren't entirely sold on Bane, then as a quick suggestion, I'm just going to, well, very quickly point you towards Dark Cell Max Essence Drain Contagion Trickster. It offers a very tanky approach to the popular Essence Drain playstyle and is a popular choice amongst many players. It is played as the Trickster. It is 100% hardcore viable if that's what you're into, and similarly to Theon's build, offers a smooth and pleasant leveling progression experience, a great League starter. The fourth build on the list is an Incinerate Witch by Thorstein the Fallen. Incinerate is a channeling skill that goes through 8 stages. The longer you channel it, the bigger it grows. When you stop channeling, you release a wave of fire in a destructive, girthy area, igniting everything in its path and dealing up to 500% more damage. This build is played as the Elementalist Ascendancy. This will help you build your direct damage, increase your area of effect, and provide additional Herald utility. Thorstein's build can do any constant in the game. Check it out. The fifth, and perhaps final build on the list, is the classic and very popular Arc Witch Guide by Enki. I pretty much always recommend this build each new League start, and that is because Enki does an excellent job at maintaining and keeping it up to date each new League. Since I've already featured this build many times before, I'm simply going to show you a clip from one of my previous videos. Here it is. Arc is a very strong skill by itself, or as a trigger skill. The weakest part of the skill was that the range of which the arcs previously could chain in between one another could feel slightly restricted. However, that particular aspect of the skill has been buffed to 35, up from 25 in 3.9 Metamorph, greatly increasing the range of which you can chain. This is the type of build for you guys who roleplay a wizard in real life and have at least one character in-game with the word Pew added to it in some form or another. It's also very good for new players and of course works great on a budget. The build uses the powerful lightning skill Arc, which works by firing a lightning bolt from your penis, and then depending on the level of the skill, it will chain a certain amount of times towards other monsters. The chain effect and the sound effect is incredibly satisfying. The guide is exceptionally well written and ensures you will get a nice transition into the League even if you are a beginner or a veteran to the game. As the Elementalist, you'll be able to leech, become immune to reflected elemental damage, and get extra effect of your shock debuff, leading to
more damage.
It is entirely possible to play this build as a solo self-bound character and rely primarily on rare gear, but if you have access to trade, then items such as the Impulsor's Broken Heart, Essence Worm, Mind of the Council, and Doriani's Catalyst are all good and viable choices to pick from. However, there are plenty of alternatives too, depending on your budget and preference. Now for the bonus build. Or well, actually I have 2 bonus builds for you guys this time as a thank you for all the subs I received on my last video. Bonus build number 1 is a Toxic Rain Shadow by Goku TD, a build I have featured in the past but is definitely worth featuring again. Toxic Rain is another bow skill that converts a large percentage of physical damage into chaos damage, but unlike Scourge Arrow, isn't a channeling skill. And yes, before I begin explaining the build, let's first address the elephant in the room. It is true, yes, from the gameplay you might notice that the build uses a Headhunter, however that doesn't mean the build requires that to function, not at all actually, so please don't let that discourage you from trying the build in case you find it interesting. Alright, with that out of the way, with the skill you will shoot 5 arrows into the air that then rains down upon and damages enemies in the targeted area and creating spore pods where the projectiles land. Each of these spore pods produce a chaos damage over time effect that besides dealing damage slows the enemy's movement. After a short duration the spore pods burst and delivers further damage to anyone around them. The faster you attack, the more pods you'll be able to cover the area in, which can then be further improved by duration modifiers to increase the dot effect from the pods, enabling them to stack the damage over time effect for a longer duration and thus dealing more damage. What this boils down to is really that Toxic Rain has some interesting mechanics that when built around opens up for some powerful single target damage potential together with great area coverage, making it possible to achieve great clear speed with the skill too. The build is played as the Trickster Ascendancy for some powerful damage scaling via Patient Reaper and Prolonged Pain, but also for the amazing energy shield and life recovery potential that can be achieved via the Ghost Shroud mechanic unlocked through Ghost Danes and then Escape Artist. Of noteworthy gear, Goku's build feature items such as the Vertex Mask Helmet, the Queen of the Forest chest armor, the Atziri Step Boots and the Maloney's Mechanism Quiver, which currently is the only quiver in the game that actually has sockets in it, besides the base type of course. Another cool thing about that is that whenever you attack with a bow, like with Toxic Rain for instance, then the socketed gems in the bow will trigger. Goku's setup utilized the Frenzy skill and pair it with the Curse on Hit and Despair for an easy way to generate extra or sustain frenzy charges and to reliably apply the curse to anyone it hits. Now please bear in mind that this quiver is very expensive, but it is by no means required for the build. You can just as well use a Drill Neck, Soul Strike or Rare Quiver instead. As a matter of fact, one of the beauties of Goku's build is that it is very budget friendly and doesn't require too much tinkering around to get to a point where it feels strong. You can for a big part of your journey rely on cheap leveling weapons, but for endgame you will eventually want to craft a bow with additional levels to skills. But the process of doing that is actually rather simple if one takes a moment to try and understand it. And Goku has it covered in his guide too. Alternatively, you can of course also just save up and buy the bow already crafted. Toxic Rain is a very interesting bow skill. If you want to try it out, check Goku's guide out or visit him over on Twitch to ask about it. Alright boys and girls, now the final build on our list. Bonus build number 2 is a Split Arrow Mines Shadow build by Blade X15. Now this build alone deserves to be featured based on its originality. Fortunately it provides more than just that though. The build is designed around the idea of combining the Split Arrow bow skill with the Blast Chain Mine support gem. This makes it so that instead of using Split Arrow in its traditional way by shooting it out from your character's bow attack, you instead place a mine that does it for you. One of the major benefits to this is that Split Arrow then starts to count as a mine skill and can thus be supported by mine support gems and multipliers from the skill tree. The damage of the Split Arrow mines are scaled based off your bow damage, and for this particular build, Blade has decided on using the Doomfletch Prison Bow that comes with the powerful benefit of gaining 100% of weapon physical damage as extra damage of each element. What this means is that the more flat physical damage you acquire on your gear, the more efficiently you'll be able to scale the damage of Doomfletch Prison and thus the damage of your Split Arrow mines. The Doomfletch bow is amongst one of my favorite uniques in the game, and it is severely underrated in my opinion. The damage output you're able to scale with proper gear to support it is absolutely insane, and due to its almost forgotten status in the community, it is often very easy to acquire this weapon on a low budget. On paper this build looks awesome, but the forum guide is brand new, and that means I haven't been able to collect any feedback on people's experience with it. I personally think it's a great league starter. At least it looks like that on the paper and from the video guide, but if you are completely new to Path of Exile, you might be better off trying out one of the other guides that has a proven track record. in case you have to change things around. I do want to give credit to Blade for writing a great guide, but also for his YouTube guide regarding the build. It is very well done and explains the build very thoroughly. And that's it, guys. 8 League Starter builds for you to get inspired by. If you found it useful, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. I can tell from my analytics that I have a lot of returning viewers, but that many aren't actually subscribed. It would make my day if you would smash that subscribe button, as I can't tell you how happy and proud I felt when I reached that 100,000 subscriber mark. And yeah, there's quite a long road until the next goal of 1 million subscribers. So yeah, smash it. I also want to mention that if you're looking for a guild to join and socialize with in Path of Exile, then you are welcome to join the Bro Guild that I run. It is completely free to join as long as there is room enough. After that, YouTube members, patrons or Twitch subscribers will get prioritized. To join, please read more in the description or comment below the video. I wish you a great league start. Thanks for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?